Welcome.
We're going to have this noise all morning, so you know.
Maybe you can stop.
They're doing, I think they're doing the work downstairs for the basement, the plumbing.
Nice.
Right, where he's down the stairs?
It's okay, we have
Yeah,
to.
there's nothing you can do about it. That's where his wife has to work.
I'll just set my thing on lower. Okay. As Darwin's here, so let's review briefly
The last 3 months.
the last 3 months. We're in the middle of understanding the Maimer Vav, the Kigavna, which is the Raza Echad. The name of this mini-series here is Raza Echad. It's the secret of Echad. The secret of Echad is, once you understand it, a really very simple secret. And the secret is that in Shamayim, everything is Echad. There's no fragmentation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Echad. But as the world is created and comes through the different spheros, the spheros are at the beginning of the creation, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Yiddishkeit, Malchus, so we have a sort of different kochos of the Bria that are coming together like building blocks. So there's a difference between a block and building blocks that are coming together as Echad. So the Gavna, the different blocks of the creation was some kind of a system where HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the Echad and for the purpose of creation, so that there should be a thing. We can't just be one, and we're not going to be able to talk to each other if we're all one. We're not going to be able to do anything if you're all one. We can't just be a block. So there has to be an Alma de Piruda. There has to be Pirud in this world. Pirud is very dangerous, but there has to be Pirud. There's no world if there's no Pirud. Every blade of grass has to be different. If they're stuck together, it's imperfect. There's an Alma de Piruda. Hence, we're different. Everything's different. Every person's different. Every plant is different. Every place is different. Everything is different. It's the Alma de Piruda. The Raza de Echad is that the job of man in this picture is to take all of that Pirud and tie it all together so it's Echad. If you don't do that, so then two things happen. One is you become an Avodah Zarah because you have the god of the moon and the god of the sun, and you have Zeus, and you have all kinds of things. Like if you don't do that, then you're seeing every energy as a different energy. You're not being miyaches to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the first problem. That's the small problem. The big problem with remaining in Alma de Piruda without the Adam putting it all together means it's all for one purpose, is that you miss the point legamri of the world. If you don't bring it all together, you miss the point. How often do we see somebody who, if you're having a discussion or an argument with something, they pick onto one point that they can pick onto, one handle there, and then you end up arguing about that point instead of arguing about the thing. How many times do we see somebody who's keeping Yiddishkeit in a fragmented way? So the fragmentation of Yiddishkeit is the Alma de Piruda, where you see a particular emphasis on this, and this is completely ignored. So they have a couple of mitzvahs here, these mitzvahs we don't hold. What it is it's forgetting the big picture. So the big picture is Echad. It's always Echad. That's the big picture. So the Raza de Echad is to be able to tie it all together. The time to do it is, and that's why we say Kigavna, or those who say Kigavna on Shabbos, or Shabbos comes in. The time to do it is on Shabbos. That's the ideal time, Kabbalah Shabbos, because one is being Makabal, all of the energy of the Sheishes Yimei Maisa, all the different Pirudim that exist. The whole Sheishes Yimei HaMaisa is all about the Pirud. That's what it's all about. So for 6 days period, then it stops. As long as we're in Yemei HaPirud, I just want to point out, I don't know if I've ever pointed this out before, as long as we're in the Yemei HaPirud, the Heidelberg Tuesday or Wednesday, so we have to continue in Hashem's work because Sheishes Yom Tasa V'Lachtecha of being Bafrid. So we're sitting there actually distinguishing. We're making things even finer. We're inventing, we're building, we're doing things, we're scientificing. We're doing all kinds of things to make the distinctions even clearer. There should be no blur. But it comes Shabbos and Shabbos. So we bring it all together with Shabbos. And Shabbos where we take everything that was created, stop creating, Hashem stops creating, we stop creating, stop creating, stop making things further and further and further apart, more and more distinctions. Let's now recap. Let's take what we've got. Let's take everything that Hashem dealt us this week, whether it's money, whether it's poverty, whether it's shalom, whether it's war, whatever it is that we've been dealt with this week, health, illness. Let's take it all, bring it together, and say, what do we got? And how are we going to take that and turn it into ruchnius? By doing that, by taking it all together and using it to understanding that it all came from the echad of Hashem. Here's an echad shenispashet to millions, splitting the atom. But once we understand that it all comes from the echad, so this is called, in the language that we're using, Malchus. You understand why it's called Malchus? Malchus meaning that let's say in an army, you're an individual, I'm an individual, but we're mamish one, because we have one goal. So the goal is the Malchus, and in order to be a good soldier, you have to be completely selfless. And the minute you're afraid and hiding under the bush, you're not doing Malchus.
So how do you tie it together?
About a sword.
How do you tie it together on Shabbos if you can't discuss both on Shabbos?
You can discuss the ruchnius that you're doing with the whole, as opposed to discussing how I'm going to make the פירוד even more, how I'm going to develop the פירוד. How am I going to make more money? How am I going to do business? It's very interesting. What are you allowed to talk about on Shabbos? Right. You're allowed to talk with Shadei Chabonos. We say in the Surah, Shadei Chabonos, right? Bye. That's tying it together. But the whole Shabbos is all about tying it together. So anything which has to do with tying things together, you're allowed to do. You think about it. When you do Malchus, meaning it becomes clear that all these things which seem so separate, and so disparate, and so unconnected to each other, no, it's just that you're the Air Force, I'm in the Marines. Once we understand the Malchus, so now, Ein Melech B'loi Am, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yosiv Al Kursaya Diyakarei. Or in the words of our davening, L'kel Asher Shabbos Mikol Malachtai, B'yoyim HaShabbos Nis'ala V'yoshav Al Kisei Kevoidei. Why? B'yoyim HaShabbos, is he sitting on the Kisei HaKavod? When you're a Melech, you sit on the Kisei HaKavod. When we're doing Malchus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can sit on the Kisei HaKavod. If there's no Malchus, there's no Kisei HaKavod. Ein Melech B'loi Am. This is probably the only thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu depends on us for. Everything else we can depend on Him. The only thing we depend on us for, it's like the president or the king depends on the army. I'm depending on you to do Malchus. If not, I shoot you. but at the end of the day, I'm depending on you. I'm depending on you. There's a certain dependence on the royal guard. So that's the Malchus, and that causes the Kisei HaKavod. Now, that's a synopsis of the Raza Da'echa that we've been talking about. So the Tzadik V'zeh Shekasa B'Zayar Shom. Now the Zayar, the whole Kigavna, of course, is a passage from the Zayar. Kigavna De'inun Misyachnin La'ela Be'echa. Just like it's all together one in Shamayim. Of Hachi Punkt Azay B'Diyukacha. Ihi Isyachadas L'Sato. It can come together L'Sato B'Raza D'Echad, in the secret of Echad. That's what we learned. Everything I just said is all contained in that sentence clearly. La'ela Heim Kol Midois Hel Yainai Shabam HaKadosh Baruch Hu Manigay Lamai. Everything starts Li'ela. So when we say something like Hashem, Kel, Rachum, V'chanun, Erech, Apayim, V'rach Chesed, there's 13 things, that's one thing. It's Hashem. We can, if we ever get deep enough to do this, we should start a version of Yiddishkeit which has no fragmentation. Meaning there's no part. There's a tremendous amount of care to do every mitzvah b'diyuk rav and exactly the way it's supposed to be, and there's a tremendous amount of care to treat every individual as an individual. But at the same time, it's not fragmented. It's never losing sight of the big picture of what all of this is about. So Moshe Rabbeinu, in the name of Hashem, said, "Ma Hashem Elokecha shayil mimcha ki im li roisi." At the end, don't fragment, don't defrag. You have to defrag here. Ma Hashem Elokecha ki im li roisi. David Abel said, "Achas shualti ve'esa shabois halafish." Chavakuk said, "Bo Chavakuk ve'bidai al achas." At the end, it's all an achas. And this is, by the way, we'll get to it at the right time, but this is the Avodah, the Kohen Gadol, on Yom Kippur, where he says, Achas v'achas, Achas v'shtayim, Achas v'shloisha, Achas l'mala, Arba l'mata. Think about it. It's all talking about the Kohen replicating the Brias HaOlam, where one becomes 2, one becomes 4, one becomes 6, Achas l'mala, Sheish l'mata. It all becomes, and then we put it all together with Alach Mukar and Rishtachavim. After every time there's that kind of a period, there's a Malchus. Malchus is always represented. The greatest act of Malchus is to subjugate oneself to the big Rata, the defrag, to take all that 6 and all the 7, and all the spheres, and put it together. V'zehu, now here we have something fascinating. V'zehu hanikra kutshabrichu. Remember we learned last week that there's a difference when you're talking about how things are in Shemayim and how they're mirrored in this world. So how they are in Shemayim is called Hashem, obviously. And how they're mirrored here is called Shem. Shemois. Shemois, you have Midas Adin, Midas Arachim, etc. Different manifestations. Different lights going through a prism of the spheros. So it's Echad, Shem Sheva. Let's say the 7 names. The Shem HaMefarish, which we don't understand and we don't know how to say even, it's Koilel everything. Meaning all the midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are one. It's all in there, by the way. All the letters of the Shem HaMefarish. You'll see the letters by the Ana B'Cholach in your siddur next to it. Those are all the letters. With a little warning sign, if you are supposed to not say this, don't attempt to say it, just look at it. Just look at it, okay? Let's just look at it. What do you get out of looking at it? Okay. I would, if I was writing the instructions of the siddur, don't say it, just be it. Be it. What is it? Like, understand it. Understand that at the end, what we don't understand is, how could it be there's such tsar? How could it be there's so simcha? Where is Hashem here? How do we understand Hester? The answer is it's called Echad. That's the Shem HaMefarish. Now, let me tell you what this sentence means. Hashem Echad u'Shmoi Echad. That's what we learned. Hashem Echad, Shmoi, no, Shmoi, many names. Shmoi Echad. V'haya b'yayim hahu, yeh Hashem Echad u'Shmoi Echad. There will come a time when Mashiach comes, right? When he's Lamelech al Kol Haaretz, B'yom Hahu Yiyeh Hashem Echad U'Shmoi Echad. So B'yom Hahu, just like there's one Hashem and Shemayim, all of the different midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all the different behaviorisms, all the different parts of history, all the different things that we don't understand, the good parts and the bad parts. How could it be that while we were talking last week how so many mechanics were trained in Auschwitz how to build planes to build the state of Israel. Kol Echad. It's Shem Echad u'Shmoi Echad. At the time, I believe this is correct, historical though. There's many names of Hashem. You find them in the Chumash, you find them in the Nevi'im. The Chumash, Moshe Rabbeinu was very worried about this, and he said, they're going to ask me what's your name. What aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is this? The Ramban says, why are you asking me what aspect it is? You don't need to know. I'm doing this as all Echad. Get it together, Moshe Rabbeinu. Get the people together. He's saying, I know my people. They're not holding. They're not holding. The Jews in Egypt were not holding by Echad. So tell me what we're talking about. Ekash, I don't know, made it easier or more difficult, but that's what he said. Ekash. Probably means the simple shot, and that is Ayash. Probably means that like I'll be what I'll be. You can depend on me. Like, whether it's this meter or that meter, it's dependable. It's all Echad. It's all Malchus. It's Hashem Echad u'Shmoi Echad. After the Chorban Beis Hamikdash, not before, came out a new name for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. New name, not Elokim, not Kel, not Shakai, not Yud Kei, not Adonai. A new name for HaKadosh Baruch Hu called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He. No, nobody, I don't believe that until Rav Shem Bar Yochai, the name is used anywhere. I don't think it was used close to the Beis Hamikdash was standing. Pretty common these days. People, a lot of things they like to call Hashem. I don't know. It depends on how you grow up. The Eibishter, the Kivyochel. That's what yeshiva you went to. But Chazal, it's Dafka, the post during the Hadrian decrees, came up with a new name for Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imagine like today we'd come up with a new name for Hashem. It'd be pretty wild, huh?
Ein Sof.
What?
Ein Sof.
Also from the Zohar time.
Yeah.
But that was earlier. That's in the Sefer Yitzir. But why do they make up a new name? I'm just historically interesting. Why? We need a new name. Like, there are not enough names for Hashem. Not enough. So the pshat is, right? You hear my question? Right? It's a new name like Kutchabrichu. That's Kutchabrichu, the Lashon of the Zayar. Hebrew translates HaKadosh Baruch. New reference, the Holy One, blessed be He. So I'll tell you what the pshat is, that Kedusha is always a lashon of tzimtzum. Arayat mekudeshes li. Asar kol alma kehektish. Hektish means miyuchad tzimtzum. Right? It's not like this. I'm taking all the women in the world and betrothing you as mine. We've taken it's very, very much about tzimtzum. Din is about tzimtzum. Right? Kedusha is about tzimtzum, and that's what it means. Kedusha is something is just set apart, something which is different. Din is very mugbal. So when we talk about, let's say, what we were talking about before, the Alma to Piruta, it's Breishis bara Elokim b'desantim. It's Kedusha. There's Kedusha. If we say that there's a Kedusha space HaKnesses, it means this place is different than every other place. Not every place is the same. There's a Bechina of L'chol Malkim Asher Asker Shmiha Ve'elecha V'Rafticha. There's an union of every place where you daven is holy, but it doesn't have the Kedusha space HaKnesses. A Kedusha space HaKnesses, Kedusha space HaMedrash, there's a pecking order. Kedusha space HaMikdash, how you're supposed to be biaches. That's all din. It's all Kedusha is all about boundaries. In this room, not out of this room. In this marriage, not out of this marriage. This food, not that food. This is what I'm allowed to do with the food. It's hektish, so I'm not allowed to do. You understand this? Kedusha is tzimtzum din. What's the opposite of Kedusha? Bracha. Bracha is hispashtus. More than abundance, like brecha. A brecha is it's like a spring.
Pool. Yeah.
Pool. It's hispashtus, mayim. It's mayim. Ma'ish uvavayim. Mayim keeps going, right? Mayim keeps flowing. See, Aish is different. Aish, while it's going, it consumes where it was. Mayim makes everything all wet. It's a different type of damage. It's a different type of Matthias mayim. The mayim is hispashtus. Mayim spreads. Mayim takes the shape of the container of which you put it. That's the property of water. Different than gas, different than solid. Mayim represents hispashtus. Bracha, in general, represents hispashtus. So when you give somebody a bracha, it's the opposite of saying a din. We're saying, if we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me bracha, it's a good thing to down for me. Baruch Atah Hashem, we say this here. Baruch Atah Hashem, you have hispashtus, you have chesed. No chesed. I often say this, for lack of a better word, meditation. Like the davening, we're thinking, if you take a walk out in the beautiful forest, you notice this idea that you're looking at 500 trees, and they're green nowadays, Baruch Hashem, they're green, and if they're supposed to be growing fruit, they're growing fruit, and if they're supposed to, they're strong, and then there's one tree that you look at, you'll notice that the whole thing is just decrepit and half dead and dead. And,
puny.
like Makara. But the answer is, if you'll study it, you'll see that the paths that were carved naturally over the centuries of how the water goes, somehow or another, because of some hump or some rock over here, it all misses the stream. So you'd say, well, like let it come from the bottom. A little bit it comes to the bottom, but it's missing that brecha, it's missing that hispashtus, it's missing that chesed. So you have, everything is all gebetched, and this is not gebetched. So there's it's mitzumtzum. This tree is mitzumtzum. You know, so when I was saying davening, like we're thinking, like, place me in the flow. Place me in the flow of the bracha. That's reposition me. This is the tefillah. Reposition me that I should be where that water that's coming down the hill, that fresh and quenching water, is hitting me exactly the way it's supposed to be hitting me. Sometimes you'll see a big storm, and everything got destroyed except for this one tree. Why? Because this one tree was not in the way of the water. Like, everything has to be in the right makom. Everything has to be at the right place at the right time. That's the bracha. Kadosh Baruch Hu is constantly giving out bracha. So there's really two energies that are going on in the world at all times. There's an energy of kedusha where things are there's din and there's פירוד, and there's not necessarily in a negative sense, but there's separation. Things are being sorted out. Things are being very, and the more פירוד you get, you split the atom. You know, there goes Japan. You know, it's more פירוד and more פירוד and more פירוד. So that's the concept of kedusha, setting it deeper, more aside. It's like if you're a lamdan, you do a lot of kedusha. If you're a kadosh, if you're an ish kadosh, you're separating yourself from everybody. But then there's an energy of bracha. I can't forget, there's an energy of bracha, where the energy of bracha is coming to the world. So when we say a shame of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, well, what are you? Are you Elikim or are you Adnai? Are you Kadosh or are you Bracha? Are you the source of Kedusha or the source of Bracha? Are you bringing Hispashtus or are you bringing Tzimtzum? HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught us Kutsha Brichu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a stira b'nei ubei. HaKadosh, you want to know something about this Kadosh? Baruch Hu. He's a Baruch. Kutsha Brichu. Read the next time we open the Or. Read the Brich Shemay. You see how it's all about being Ma'achid Hakadosh. Can we, as a people, this is where Shem Bar Yochai is marked. Can we, as a people, Fartran, can we handle two opposite midos all in one? It's a sort of it's not just dualistic, it's almost a schizophrenic existence. We're talking about Shabbos, like, 1 minute you're sitting, you're splitting the sea for us in the most magnificent way, you know. Like, Eilucha Bracha Gadol Mizu, right? There's no laws, no rules, nothing is sagur. Nothing's impossible, right? On Torah Avenue. Here's the Jewish people coming out of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means some Meitzar. That's the word means. Not Meitzar Karasi. All of a sudden, ultimate Hispashtus until we walk away. Oz Yosher Moshe Yisrael. What an unbelievable thing that there's the men saying, the women saying. There's like nature means nothing. Nothing is closed. There's no chukim. There's no din until we walk for 3 days. And there's no water to drink. What's that? And they go to, there's some water, try it. Try bar. I don't even know what it means. So it doesn't mean in the desert that the water was bitter. Some water is bitter, some water is good. Yeah. You have a degree in this.
Stagnant, maybe?
Stagnant water?
Stagnant?
The alkali water, salt is
In the desert?
absolutely.
And limestone, right?
limestone, but it's dissolved over the centuries. I mean,
And this water that came in contact with limestone is going to be very alkaline.
so it's not just that it's sitting there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
no,
come
sure.
from the water. It's a disintegration of the stones, disintegration of the lime.
You got places like that in the States where the water is in the
Mayim morim.
Yeah, alkaline.
Wow. So,
Nothing
but
lives.
I just think of the disappointment. I think of the unbelievable disappointment. You know, that here they are. We just went through Kingship. So when you fall asleep, Hashem love a tisha. So we said by the Torah basically. Al tashlicheinu b'fonecha. Did you move by tree? Did you move by tree? Did you change the flow? Al tashlicheinu b'fonecha. Al tashlicheinu la'yisita. What are these shifts? What happened? We were all excited. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu fixed they walk a little bit further, they get to Elom. What happens in Elom? They see Sheva Bayonos, Shivim Tamarim. As I'll say, Sheva Bayonos, Yud Beis Bayonos, 12 springs, book like that. The 12 springs connected the Yud Beis Shiftei Yisrael, Shivim Tamarim connected the Ayin Ziknei Yisrael. Like on Shabbos, it's like you're walking the desert, nobody's ever walked here before, and all of a sudden you see your name written in the sand. There it says, Eliezer. Like, wow. That means I'm supposed to be here, right? That means that this is something, I was here first. Kadosh Baruch Hu was here. So the Hashgacha Prata seems to be coming. You know what they say? I think it was I think it was Yigal Yadin that discovered Aaron's Kever and Petra's Yigal Yadin. Yeah, back in the must have been in the early '60s, right? He discovered. Nobody went there. Nobody heard of it. He said this is Hor HaHor, Petra. This is where Aaron HaKohen died. This is his Kever. So there was like he worked it out on a map, and he worked it there. Then they had to get permission from the Jordanians and all kinds of all-terrain vehicles to get through the desert to get to this place from Israel. And how you to get there? It was like all politics and Shvaisa. So they say that finally, after months and months of work, they isolated a spot. They got there. The archaeologists came there, and they reached the Har HaHor, and there it says, La.
Now we know it.
Like this is Elom, by Yavo ad Elom. They came to Elom like, again, Hashgacha Prata. So they go down, we don't have anything to eat. You know, the point is, who can manage two opposite hanhagas, like a multiple personality, a God at one time? So who can imagine living at the time of the Chorban Bayis Sheni? So the Chorban Bayis Sheni. There's a lot going on in history during the time of the Chorban Bayis Sheni. On the one hand, I mean, it was Chorban. We lost the Beis HaMikdash. We lost Yerushalayim. On the one hand, on the other hand, like the significance of Tedli Yavda v'Chachobeha, the significance of the seed of the Talmud Bavli, which came about in a way that Rabbi Akiva, Kula Halibah to Rabbi Akiva. The possibility of a Mashiach with Bar Kochba, like a Messianic type. So what we were dealing with at that time, Shimon Bar Yochai hiding in a cave for 12 years. What could be worse than that? At the same time, creating the Zohar. Took somebody last week to key into the cave of Shimon Bar Yochai. Like, not such a businessman, you know, from America. I explained to him what it was. I said, okay, let's go. I want to show him downstairs in the shul, all kinds of stuff. I can't leave this buckle. I can't leave this buckle. I'm feeling Kedusha. He says, everybody goes. He says, I want to stay in this buckle. Like, we went, we toured, we drank pot of Coke, everything. Came back. I can't leave this buckle. So there's some certain neshama, which is, so what's the neshama of that makom, Moshe? The neshama is that such din and such bracha all at the same place. The din, I'm hiding in a cave. The bracha, mayan amayin. Look at the symbolism. What else? The charuf. He ate boxer. What's it called in English? Carob. Carob. Haru. Rabbi Yaacov commented on it. This charuf carbon. Lashon carbon. Try to eat it. It's a lashon carbon. So you have to be able to take this dichotomy, this and to put it into one. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it would have been so easy to fall into a trap. Look what happened. Christianity was founded at that time. It became big at that time. The trap of dualism. The trap of the God of anger and the God of kindness. The trap of the different moods of Hashem. The trap of dualism, Trinity, polytheism. That would have been the trap. That's the trap of righteous suffering, and at the same time bracha. So he is there, he's not there, he's here, he's not there, he's there, he's not here. It's a game. So Chazal came up with the lashon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Understand something about Hashem. It's another way of saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem Echad. So the lashon gufa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is creating a razat echad. Is creating an echad in this world for the fragmentation and the disparity of movements. That the bracha and the klola, if you will, are all coming together as echad. That's the lashon of Kudsha B'richu. And it was invented, mamash invented, as far as I know, in the post-Korban era, because that's when it was needed.
According to this, that was the worst time that we had. We needed that.
Thus far,
Yeah, worse than Korban Bais Rishon.
was worse. Was worse. There was more killings. There was also more. It was more permanent. The Gemara makes the point that the Korban Bais Rishon was for 70 years. The Korban Bais Sheni is still going on. The Gemara makes the point that it was much worse. Mikan, says the Gemara, that Shlit'a Chinam is worse than Gilui Arayis Shvichas Dam and Avodah Zarah. How could that be, by the way? Because how could it be? We understand it on one level, but on a deeper level, the way to understand Shlit'a Chinam is ultimate פירוד. It's ultimate din.
We see still today something.
Which we see today, so today.
It's worse than Shvichas Damim.
Worse than Gilui Arayis Shvichas Damim and Avodah Zarah.
But Shvichas Damim doesn't it fall into the same category as...
No, because Shvichas Damim is not chinam. Chinam is just פירוד for the sake of פירוד. If you kill somebody because you have a reason you hated him. I was thinking about, like, most people don't kill people, right? It's like, even if you hate them, we tend not to kill them. Why is everyone not so sure?
Because in your mind you probably are doing it.
What?
In your mind you're probably doing it.
Fantasizing. Like lusting in my heart. I mean, most people, like, when you wake up in the morning and your Yetzer Hara kicks in, like one of the things that most people, thinking about, like, I think I'm going to kill. No, I'm not going to kill him. Yes, I will kill him. I'm not going to. There's like sort of an implicit boundary, which we have. I mean, there are people that are crazy. They kill people. There are people that are crazy that walk outside without clothes on. No boundaries. The pshat in crazy is no boundaries. Most people, even people with psychological illnesses, don't walk outside without clothes on, and they don't kill people. That's something. There's a certain boundary. There's certain boundaries, normal boundaries that we have. Some people's boundaries are a little bit weird, but the basic boundaries we all have. Shlit'a Chinam is interesting. Shlit'a Chinam, like the Shvichas Dam, had some kind of a gather to it. Gilui Arayis. It's also going out from what's supposed to be breaking a boundary, but it had some kind of a gather. Shlit'a Chinam. Chinam. Chinam means it has no, no, like just chinam. It's chinam. Take it. Oh, here's something we're going to say him today. It's Rabbi Chinam. Like there's no boundaries. There's no boundaries.
You can even argue maybe
The whole base of
socially
mitzvah is
acceptable.
din. It's all din, huh?
You can even argue it may be socially acceptable in some circles.
What's that?
Same scheme.
Sinas chinam. Yeah.
As opposed to
Now,
the
more
other.
socially acceptable if you could have your own talk show. If you hate enough people. And you do it well and you articulate about your
Political party.
You make a political party, gotcha.
Called Sinas Scheme.
If you're really good at it, you become the prime minister. So such a simcha when the selections are all over, like it's all over. We can stop hating everybody now. Like crazy stuff, like the people were saying about other what one from Jew was saying about another from Jew. What people were saying about Gedolim, just for the sake of an election. I mean, it's like talk about Sinas Chinam. It's got to be like the worst. It's got to. I mean, I'm just like I'm protecting myself from the energy from Shemayim, but that's a mitzvah now. Like, it's a huge mitzvah to do this. You know, do this. Yeah. So Hashem Yishmereinu. So that's Zeva Nikar Kutsha Brichu. Some things, by the way, are just wrong. You know, like you can explain and you can do, and it's societal. You know, it's just wrong. It's plain wrong. There's no after.
In a way, it's the ultimate, the ultimate פירוד, because you're asserting that the fact that anything is different from what I am is intolerable. So that's like
And you're not because if
that's
you disagree
putting
with
the
me.
פירוד in, that's locking the פירוד in cement. It's tachas
Not
haPirud.
allowing for any Shabbos to happen.
Tachas haPirud. It's so it's kolel all the other shlashaveras.
Elamai, it's L'Shem Shamayim.
Those are all
It's
bechinas
L'Shem
of
Shamayim.
Pirud.
But it's L'Shem Shamayim. You know,
Those are bechinas of Pirud. And this is the ultimate Pirud.
ultimate, mamash, carving stuff. No mayim here. There's no mayim. There's no flexibility. You see, mayim has to do with flexibility. It has to do with chesed. Flexibility is pashtus. No, there's no flexibility. I'm not a political person before, but after the election, so I'm sitting with 10, 15 people, so somebody said that Lapid got a whole bunch of votes. I said, oh, good. That's I thought I was going to get shot. Actually, that was a good thing. Like, you know.
We're happy for him.
Happy for him. It's a good voice. It's a good voice. Like I can see him speaking in the UN properly and speaking to the President of the United States properly. I can see him better than a lot of others. Okay, enough of that.
Being taped.
Yeah. I think that's okay. Last week was also today. It's looked already.
We have a Haredi rabbi now.
Okay. I'm going to go. So that's the pshat in Kutsha Brichu. Umizeh chiyus u'metzius kol hanivroim kol koichoseyem u'puloiseyem. The ein oid milvadai, ultimately it comes down to ein oid milvadai, v'atamachayis kulam, v'dayik v'amar b'zeh b'roza del echad, el amar be'echad. We talk about b'roza de'echad, be'echad, yichuda ilah, because the yichud that goes on in Shemayim there are no parties. Before the spheros, there are no divisions. So the spheros, which are a good thing because they create different energies in the world, can start fighting with each other, which is sinas chinam. This is a bad thing because the sinas chinam. Let me just make my point. The sinas chinam at the bottom here is the antithesis of tying it all together, which is Malchus. So how could you have, if you have sinas chinam, you can't have Malchus. And if you can't have Malchus, you have no Kishel Kavod. If you have no Kishel Kavod, you can't have a Beis HaMikdash. Hashemayim Kisi va'aretz hadoim raglai. Eiz habayis asher tivduli, eiz hamakay b'nuchasi. This is what Yeshayahu Navi said, that you can't have a Beis Hamikdash unless you tie it all together at the bottom, because if you don't tie it all together at the bottom, you don't have Malchus. If you don't have Malchus, you don't have Malchus, you don't have Kisei HaKavod. You don't have Kisei HaKavod. Hashem's not sitting on Kisei HaKavod. Then if you don't have that, then you don't have a Beis Hamikdash. So Kudsha Brichu becomes the extremely important phrase of the day. So he giloi l'chol halavavos b'nei Yisrael. Yeah.
It occurs to me, I hear the answer, you spoke very well. I'm just wondering why the order of Rishon Berachai, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why not have Baruch Kadosh Hu or something like that?
Because the Kadosh is Echad. Right. I mean, it could have been the other way. I thought about this a lot, but first you have a block, because when you're going from top to bottom, you start off with one, and then it separates.
I thought Kadosh was the Pyrrhic.
The who is part of it, by the way. Kadosh, Baruch, Hu. Right? No, Kadosh is, if it's all in one, it's also Kadosh. Right? If there's an Olama פירוד, then you have to just be matched, then it comes out that it's separate.
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought the whole point of Kadosh was the Olama פירוד. Tzimtzum. And the counterbalance, the Tzad is Baruch, is Lashon Bracha. So I don't know why the פירוד is first, and I also don't know where does Hu fit in.
Isn't there פירוד before there's Bracha?
Okay.
Kadosh Baruch.
Okay. And how did the Hu fit in?
We tie it up together. The Hu comes back to the Raz of the Yachad.
I read dashes for the Mufredes and Muyuchedes. That's what
Mamish. Yeah.
Tirun and Ichud.
Okay, gotta go because I have to have a meeting.